Okay, so we're going to summarize and give you an update of our Learning to Research project with our separate schools. My school is Main Street School, and I have 56 GLOBE students this year. And we're investigating local indicators of a changing climate on our school grounds, Norwalk Creek and Lake Erie. And one of the extra components this year is we're really close to one of the research stations for NASA at Plumbrook, and they test lots of things in their giant vacuum chamber. And we're having a connection this year with NASA. And between the 8th grade classes and 5th grade classes and NASA, we're working together, and kids will have to pass these different skills and content areas, and then they'll get rocket parts when they pass the different places, the different topics. And then in May, we're going to go to Plumbrook and launch rockets with astronauts, so that'll be kind of fun. What our GLOBE students have learned so far is the difference between weather and climate. Well, we're working on that anyway. Climate classifications of not only our school, but also all of your schools. And we're continuing to practice our GLOBE protocols for clouds, GPS, hydrology, air temperature, and surface temperature. We're ramping up for the surface temperature field campaign in December. And we're using technology this year, one, to enter data into the GLOBE database. We're also finding historical climate data, such as our storm events that we'll be looking closely at. And the kids are taking lots of photos and video and learning what other GLOBE students are doing by way of Skype. And I think it might be beneficial to use Adobe Connect. Ann and I Skyped the other day, and the connection was real sketchy, so maybe we should try that next time. And yeah, and so one of the earlier questions was, will we continue our project from last year? And yes, we are. One of our questions for further study last year was, with the additional precipitation that we've received over the last 50 years, does that account for more big major storm events, and how the storm events affect the water quality in this creek that runs through our city? So we're going to be looking at that, and also how Lake Erie really affects our climate. And so before the snow flies, which might be this weekend, we're going to visit with staff at the Old Woman Creek National Estuary Research Reserve, which is about 12 miles north of us, right on Lake Erie. And so then they'll get to know really what their water quality data really means, what are the nitrates and the pH and the conductivity really mean. We'll return to the creek for more data, hopefully. And one of the kids had an idea if we would test the water in the reservoir, in the creek, and then at the far end of the creek before it dumps into the river. And so that would be a good idea too. And then because we're right by Lake Erie, we enjoy a really extended fall season because of the warmth from the lake affects our climate.
I think it's my turn. So this is my class, my 7th and 8th graders from Story Village Charter School in Keene, New Hampshire. We go on an all-school hike every fall, and this is my group towards the end of the all-school hike. What we have done so far is we have looked at some water quality data that has been collected by the Ashwellet River Local Advisory Committee. And we actually had the chairperson of the committee came in and talked to my students today to tell them about what they do and what kinds of equipment they use to test water quality and the kinds of protocols that they follow. We've from looking at that data, identified some possible questions for investigation, begun to look at the weather to climate activities and the climate classifications. And we've actually examined the contents of a leaf pack for macroinvertebrates, and we're really excited to find plenty of mayflies and a couple of caddisflies along with our sort of low quality snails. We have some Keene State College students who are working with us. They are our geography majors working on a capstone project, and so they're going to help us link our data that we collect to Google Earth and create some tours. So they came in and taught us how to use GPS devices. And we had a couple of members of the New Hampshire Fish and Game come show us how they do fish surveying, their shocking equipment. And we found some chain pickerel, a lot of sunfish, and a couple of largemouth bass. And our next steps are water sampling and waypoint creation for our map to learn and practice the GLOBE protocols, document some signs of extreme weather because we're looking at whether extreme weather events have an effect on the water quality in our river, narrowing some questions for investigation, identifying historical data sets, and we will be hatching brook trout for release in a tributary of the Ishwillet River this spring.
All right, my turn. Upper Woods Middle School, just north of Detroit. And our kickoff event this year was a sailing adventure out on Saginaw Bay of Lake Huron. And let me see if I can get my Michigan map ready for you. Is that the right direction? Saginaw Bay, right in this area here. And on an 84-foot three-masted schooner. Had my students, I used my Future Think class, which is 30 students who applied in 6th grade to be involved in extensive science and go on a number of field excursions. So this was the first one that we went on. It's called the Appledorn schooner, and I'm trying to remember the exact name of that particular vessel, but it's a repurposed vessel. They have 2 of them that spend time on Saginaw Bay, that go and do the Mackinac race, and also come down to the Detroit River. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Beautiful day to be out on the water, a little chilly, as you can see, but a lot of activities for my students, knot tying and sucky disc and ecological studies as well. Oh, you did? Okay, Chris, good. So, yeah, it was a great day. And we participated in the annual beach cleanup, the International Beach Cleanup Day. And again, sort of acclimating my students at the start of the year. It's on a Saturday, and always a very good event. We just got our weather station installed, so we'll be ramping that up, coming up soon. And something happened to my dendrology word over there, kind of moved over. But yesterday, spent the full day with my students doing some really exciting stuff on the Etzel Ford estate, the grounds. It's an 86-acre estate that's on Lake St. Clair. Lake St. Clair is a delta lake that connects Lake Huron at the north down to the Detroit River and Lake Erie to the south and on to Marcy's place. And I find that the first part of my year is best spent acclimating my students to the outdoors. I teach students who come from an urban setting, and it is amazing how fearful in a lot of ways my students are, how hesitant at least that they are when they are outside of their home environment. And so I spend a good first 2 or 3 months having them connect with nature. And they had a blast yesterday. It had promised rain, but it didn't rain. And just the sights and smells. And as you can see in the picture, the gentleman that's using his iPad to show one of our students, one of the president of the local Audubon Society was with us. The owner of the Wild Birds Unlimited store came, and she and her son, co-owners of that shop, were hosting my students on a bird walk, brought some serious equipment you can see in the upper left over there. And my kids were just really into it and loved it. So that's a big part of what I do to start off with is kind of getting them into the great outdoors. Our next steps are to begin the global protocols, and then we will be partnering with the University of Michigan on their species program, which is students predicting the effects of climate and ecological systems. Because we are sort of bounded by big buildings, we don't have a lot of nature around us. We're going to use online tutorials and modeling software and the guided reading available there. And then we'll launch from that into their research on species locally. That's what we have in store. Leaf packs, I actually last year had my students select leaves, and we put them in those old onion bags, and we went out and sort of seeded the area off of the Etzel Ford estate and weighed them down by rocks, and then we pulled them up 3 weeks later, and that just added a neat
yeah, I wasn't sure that our leaf packs would actually get anything, and so I was like just as excited as the kids were when we started finding all these different macroinvertebrates. It was really awesome. Yeah, I was prepared for nothing.
Just a kick mat earlier this week, and I was surprised.
I really didn't think they would get anything. We put 2 leaf packs in. We lost one to a river cleanup, but I rescued the second one before they could throw that one away too.
I do a boat trip every year that I can find the funds. It's almost $1,000 to get the kids out on that boat. So, so far, I'm 2 for 2. Jen, can I come?
Alaska, you need ice picks.
Okay, any other questions on there? I just wanted to say 2 things to wrap up. First off, we can stay here for a little bit longer if you want to ask questions, but or just keep talking. But the leaf packs, like I said in the email, I suggested to the Hydrology Refresh Committee, the Science Refresh. But if you have any other suggestions at all about protocols like to see added to GLOBE or protocol changes you recommend, please let me know. You guys do this more often than I do, so I'd love to have feedback from you. I can't remember the other thing I had to tell you.
Okay.
So this is one thing, so never mind the 2 parts. Okay, I'm going to take off you guys off presenters, and again, feel free to stick around and ask questions, though, or just continue talking. Okay, thank you. Was that as far as visualization, or what part of hydrology data? Getting to it. Hydrology data you can get to through training.globe.gov still. I'll put that here. Through the visualization there. And I don't remember the timeline they have for hydrology. Jessica, do you remember what it is? Yeah, I think by the original timeline was end of November, but not sure if that's still the same timeline or not. You can get to it through training.globe.gov, the same way you used to get to it. I think we're going in order of our IOPs as far as visualization. Attending tonight. It was great seeing all of you and talking with you tonight. And have a wonderful night.